Dana here. Welcome to Sew Learn Create. I'm glad you joined us today. And if you like our content, be sure you click that subscribe button and the bell notification. Also, we have a Patreon page if you'd like to support us with multiple tiers. And I also have an Etsy shop where I sell sewing kits for most of the content on my channel. Today's project is a Christmas ornament and it's a fun gnome. So let's get started. For today's project, the gnome ornament, you'll need the following supplies. You'll need a piece of paper so you can cut your pattern, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. You'll need some fabric. You'll need something round like a bead or a button for his nose, some yarn for his beard, and then if you want to make him an ornament that you hang on a tree, you'll need a hook, and then you'll also need something to stuff him with. So to make your pattern, my triangles, you'll need 2 triangles cut from your fabric, and it's 4 inches across the bottom and then 5.5 inches on each side. So you just measure that out, cut your pattern out, and then cut your fabric. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your fabrics and you're going to put them right sides together, pretty side to pretty side. And when we go to the machine, we're going to stitch. We're going to leave a small opening right here at the bottom. We're going to stitch all the way around. And when you get to the point, you're not going to be able to go all the way up to this point because of your seam allowance. So don't worry about trying to get all the way up. This point, when it goes inside and turns, it'll help it fill in some of that space up there. But you don't need to worry about going all the way to the point when you stitch. So we're going to start here, go all the way around, and leave a small opening at the bottom. So let's go to the machine. I did grab my clips to secure my fabrics together, and I'm going to use my red and green system to remind myself to leave an opening right here. So I put my green clip here, and I'm going to start my sewing, come all the way around, and stop at my red. So take our green clip off, and I'm going to use the outside edge of my foot as my seam allowance guide. And when I get to this corner, this point, I'm going to put my needle down, lift my presser foot, turn my fabric, and be sure I line it back up so it's in a nice straight line going to the opposite point. And when I get here, in order to leave my seam allowance, I can't go all the way to this top point. So I'm going to stop about where I think it needs to be. I'm going to turn, line up my fabric. It looks like I need to go a little bit further. So I'm going to turn it back around, making sure I keep it lined up here. And I'm going to go about 2 stitches further with my needle down, then turn again. That's the advantage of having your needle down when you lift that presser foot, because if you need to spin it back and fix it, then you can very easily. Get to this point, turn it. I'm going to take my red clip off, but I'm going to put my finger there to remind me to leave an opening. And I'm going to back stitch a little bit. Then we'll go back to the mat, turn it, and stuff it. Now we've stitched all the way around and we've left a small opening here. So I'm going to clip my threads. And the next thing I like to do when I've stitched around something is flip it over and make sure it's caught on all my fabric on both sides. Then I'm going to find my opening down here at the bottom, and I'm going to turn it right side out. Normally, I would clip my corners to reduce the bulk, but since I'm going to stuff this ornament, I'm going to leave that fabric to kind of fill in the body of it. So I'm going to go to this other point. And then I'm going to use a chopstick to finish pushing out my points. And you want to do this gently so that you don't poke your stitching, because then you have to turn it and fix that. there's the top. And just kind of gently push with your chopstick to get those corners pointed out. And the reason that we did not leave the whole bottom open is so that we could get those corners nice and sharp. So we left our opening right here. So then what you're going to do is you're just going to take your stuffing and you're going to take a little bit at a time. And you can use your finger or your chopstick to get it in there. Doesn't take a lot of stuffing. I'm using polyfill, but you could use just about anything to stuff him with, because you're not going to wash him or anything like that, most likely. I'm going to use my chopstick to kind of work that polyfill up into the point of his hat, so it's nice and full. And you can make him as fluffy or as flat as you like him to be, because this is his hat. Now I'm going to stuff it. I'm going to kind of work so I can make sure it's the amount of stuffing that I want in those corners, and kind of pull it closed. And I kind of like the look of that. But then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to push that stuffing all the way up to the middle, so that when I go to the machine, I can stitch this closed on the machine. You could hand sew it if you wanted to, but I'm going to do it on the machine, and that stuffing is out of the way of our presser foot. So let's go to the machine, close him up. So now we've left an opening, and I've pushed the polyfill up inside the middle so that I can close this opening on the machine. So I'm going to lay it down here, and I'm going to use the inside edge of my foot as my seam allowance this time, so that it's nice and small. So I'm going to start just above where my opening is, and you will not see this seam because his beard will cover it up. And I'm going to stitch, and then I'm going to back stitch just a little bit to secure it, and then I'm just going to go all the way across and back stitch there at the end. Now he's closed up. We'll go add his beard and his nose, and we'll be done. Now we've made our little hat, we've stitched him up. So I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to kind of push that stuffing back into these corners so that it's kind of evened out. So to make the beard, you can do it a couple of different ways. You'll need yarn, and I'm using this kind of chenille fuzzy yarn that I got at Dollar Tree, but any kind of yarn will work. You can either use some kind of a stiff cardstock to wrap your yarn, or you can just use your fingers and kind of spread it out. You need about 4 inches in length, so you could just spread your fingers out and go around your fingers. But I am going to use this card. So I'm going to go around about 10 times, because I want his beard to be kind of full. And then I can kind of gauge, because you are going to, when you pull it off, it's going to be doubled. And actually, I think I'm going to go around a few more. Doesn't look quite fluffy enough for me. So that's about 18 times. Then I'm going to clip it. And I'm going to pull it off my card as a unit. And I'm going to leave it flat. And then I'm going to cut another piece to tie it in the center. Lay it on there. And I'm going to tie a knot here in the center. And I'm going to double tie that. Then I'm going to glue it in place, and then I'm going to cut my loops. And I'm going to use hot glue to glue mine. So you just need to decide which side of your hat that you like. I kind of like this one. It's got a few more snowflakes. And you want to glue it right here at the bottom. And then his nose goes right there at the top of the beard. So I'm going to use hot glue. You certainly could sew it on if you wanted to, but I'm going to use hot glue, and I'm going to glue that in place. And I'm going to glue all the way across so that his beard kind of goes out. If you don't go across, then his beard would hang just in the middle and you would see more of his hat on the edge. And that feels kind of secure. Then I'm going to hot glue his nose right here in the center of that. And this bead, if you noticed, has got kind of ridges. And then this one on my original sample is just a smooth bead. You can use either kind. And that bead can be any color that you like. Then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut my loops so that his mustache or beard separates. And then the one that I tied with is a little longer, so I'm going to give him a little bit of a haircut there. Then if you wanted to, if you hadn't glued enough on the side, you could add some more hot glue to kind of put those more to the side. But he looks pretty good. And this particular yarn makes a big fuzzy mess, so and I think I will glue right in here and just glue a little bit more so it's spread out. All right, then the last thing you're going to do is if you want to hook on him so you can hang him up on a tree, you're going to take just your regular Christmas hook and you're going to take a bigger round pin. This is a normal size pin and this one is a corsage type pin. They usually have a bigger head and it's also bigger around. And you're going to poke that up at the top. And I like to kind of wiggle it. And it's hard to see on the camera, but it does make a hole. And then you're going to go through all of your layers. You're going through multiple layers there. Just keep kind of working with it and you'll get it through your front to your back. You could also stitch a piece of ribbon at the top if you'd like. If you didn't like the wire hangers, you could do a piece of ribbon. There we go. And then you're just going to close that. And he's ready to hang. Now your project is complete. I hope you liked today's project, the Gnome Christmas Ornament. So, see you in the next one. I hope you liked today's project, the Christmas Ornament Gnome. So, I'll see you in the next one.
You want to do one more of those?
In the intro, did I have him turn backwards?
Oh, I didn't notice. I'll have to look.
Okay.
Hold on. You ready?
Mm-hmm. I hope you liked today's...
I'm trying not to stop the camera.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Hi, Dana here. Welcome to